are you engaged? And having them accept that they have not been.
Your presence is going to be vital for them. I mean, it's really important that you attend, Rex.
It's just, quite frankly, just being honest with people, and people like honesty.
The transition in Dallas is beginning to deliver hard-won results by overcoming challenges in the public sector.
There are so many obstacles. There are elected politicians with all kinds of agendas. There's an enormous bureaucracy that is almost impenetrable. And so it shocked me that we could have the police chief come in and apply these principles to City Hall and just in his own department make such an incredible difference. He met the goal for murder, he got halfway to overall crime, and then he stood up and did it all over again.
And this year, they're still impressive, 10% in overall crime and 10% in homicides. So he's sticking his neck out, and I think it shows a lot of courage. I would say that we grossly underestimated his confidence.
You can't have economic development, which is the #1 priority for the city of Dallas at this moment, unless your city's safe. Because if you're not a safe city, you can never be a great city.
We became really passionate, and I became really passionate about the application of our work outside of business. Because we came to see that if we only have great companies, and it is important that we have great companies, but if we only have great companies, we will merely have a prosperous nation, not a great nation. To be a truly great nation, we must have great healthcare and great education and great police and great nonprofits and great universities and great orchestras. All the rest of society must also be great.
How does one ignite a transition from being merely good to becoming truly great? The Good to Great research team uncovered a 4-stage process: disciplined people, disciplined thought, disciplined action, and finally, building greatness to last. Stage 1, disciplined people, begins with level 5 leaders, a finding that was unexpected.
We found the only chief executives that ignited companies from good to great in the history of the Fortune 500 up to the time that we did the study. And what surprised us is not what we found, but what we didn't find. You would expect these towering, charismatic heroes, but many of them had a charisma bypass. You would expect them to be these saviors from the outside, but they were quiet insiders. What stood out about these leaders? It wasn't their overpowering personality. It was their humility.
Maybe the way we've been taught and programmed is that to be effective, you have to have a larger-than-life personality. You have to be able to fill up a room. You have to be the savior that comes in with this idea better than anybody's ever had before.
What's amazing to me is that the most successful companies appear to have CEOs who are selfless, not egomaniacs, not flashy, not looking for personal perks or resume building.
Ultimately, I think that you're successful if you do question yourself and you are constantly trying to learn.
One of the things that we've always refrained from doing at Southwest Airlines is talking about size, how big we can get, talking about how prominent we can get. Those things were of no interest to us whatsoever. It was basically just doing the job on a day-to-day basis, which was laying the foundation work for the future of the company 15, 20, 30 years down the line.
The second part of Stage 1 is the concept of first who, then what, which was also a surprise.
We thought that we would find that the good to great leaders first set a vision, a direction, a strategy. They pointed the way, and they would get everybody to go there. Guess what? Our comparison companies, the ones that didn't become great, they did that. What did our leaders do? They first got the right people on the bus, the wrong people off the bus, and the right people into the key seats, and then determined where to drive the bus. First who, then what. When I was in business school, I was always taught the way you start a company is you have to have a single great idea, a clear, precise product or service and how it's going to compete. And then you look at Amgen. They didn't do that. They had a broad area of advanced biology, and they assembled some resources. And then they basically said, our product is going to come because we're going to get great people, great scientists, and great business people, and then we're going to figure out what we're going to make.
When Amgen started, biotech was really, really in the early days. Very little was known. There were not a lot of scientific papers you could read. There were not a lot of eminent scientists who knew a lot of answers, so you could ask for those answers. We had the belief that only about the top 5% of PhDs could really do that kind of pioneering work.
Non-vertebral, vertebral, along with hip, each being important.
So basically the direction of the company would automatically follow the best ideas that these people had, and they were generating ideas because they were motivated.
There is no substitute for the best people, period. There isn't a process that'll overcome less than the best people. There isn't some technology that'll do it. And so we try to find the very, very best people for the job.
And they had bioengineered indigo for blue jeans, and they had chicken growth hormone. They were trying all kinds of things until they finally settled upon what became the most successful biotech product of its time, EPO. It's a classic, wonderful example of a startup that is first get the right people, then figure out what to make.
Stage 2 is about how to think, beginning with the need to confront the brutal facts of reality.
Air action is now in execution in North Vietnam.
September 1965. Commander James Stockdale is shot out of the sky over North Vietnam. He survives to become the highest-ranking POW to be held in the infamous Hanoi Hilton during the Vietnam War. Jim Collins first met Admiral Stockdale in 1991 at Stanford University.
I had this wonderful walk on the Stanford campus with Admiral Stockdale. Stockdale told me the story of being in the prison camp in Vietnam. And I asked him, I said, how did you not get depressed? And he said, I never got depressed because I never wavered in my faith that I would get out and turn it into the defining event of my life, that in retrospect, standing here with you today on this campus, I wouldn't trade it. And then I asked him a little later, by the way, who didn't make it out as strong as you? And he said, oh, that's easy. It was the optimists. I said, you sounded pretty optimistic back there. He said, oh, no, the optimists. They were the ones who always said, we're going to be out by Christmas. And Christmas would come and it would go. We're going to be out by Easter, and then Easter would come and it would go. And then Thanksgiving, and it would come and go, and then it would be Christmas again. And the optimists, they died of a broken heart. And that's when Admiral Stockdale grabbed me by the shoulders and said, this is what I learned. You must never, ever confuse the need on the one hand for unwavering faith that you can and will prevail with the need on the other hand to have the discipline to confront the most brutal facts. When we were studying the good to great companies as they were